Exploring the U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan. Pakistan has been a hotbed of terrorist activity and insurgent movements for decades. The country's ungoverned or undergoverned areas, a long border with Afghanistan, and a history of support of various terror outfits by its powerful military and intelligence systems have made the government ineffective in countering terrorism and insurgency. The United States, as a leading global superpower, has been heavily involved in counterterrorism efforts in Pakistan since the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The U.S. Army has been active in Pakistan since at least 2001, though it has not always been welcomed. Pakistani authorities, as well as the general public, have often been wary of American interests in the country. However, the U.S. Army has been instrumental in conducting counterinsurgency operations against various terrorist groups in Pakistan. In order to understand the U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan, we must first examine what counterinsurgency entails. According to the U.S. Army, counterinsurgency is defined as the military, paramilitary, political, economic, psychological, and civic actions taken by a government to defeat insurgency. The U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan is complex and multifaceted. It includes both traditional military operations and non-military approaches aimed at stabilizing local communities and creating the conditions for long-term peace and stability. The U.S. Army has deployed thousands of troops to Pakistan and has also worked closely with Pakistani military and intelligence agencies to disrupt terrorist networks and prevent future attacks. One key strategy employed by the U.S. Army in Pakistan is the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, commonly referred to as drones. Drones have been used extensively in Pakistan for surveillance and targeted killings of high-value targets. The use of drones is controversial, with critics arguing that they are a violation of Pakistan's sovereignty and that they have caused civilian casualties and fueled anti-American sentiment. Despite the controversial nature of drone strikes, the U.S. Army has continued to use them as a key tool in its counterinsurgency efforts in Pakistan. The U.S. Army has also supported Pakistani security forces in their efforts to combat insurgency and terrorism. For example, the U.S. Army has provided training and equipment to Pakistani soldiers and law enforcement officials. Another important aspect of the U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan is its focus on hearts and minds operations. This involves conducting civic engagement activities, such as building schools and hospitals, providing food and medical supplies to local communities, and working with local leaders to establish and maintain positive relationships with residents. Through these efforts, the U.S. Army hopes to win over the Pakistani people and convince them to reject extremism and terrorism. This approach has been met with some success, as locals have begun to view the U.S. Army in a more positive light and have become more willing to cooperate with American forces in their counterinsurgency efforts. The U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan has faced significant challenges, however. One of the biggest challenges has been the complex political situation in Pakistan. The country's government, military, and intelligence agencies have often been at odds with one another, and there have been frequent accusations of collusion between some of these groups and various terrorist organizations. Furthermore, the U.S. Army's approach has been undermined by the drone strikes themselves, which have become a major source of controversy and have led to often violent backlash from local communities. This has made it difficult for the U.S. Army to maintain positive relationships with Pakistani officials and residents, and has even hampered some of its operations. Despite these challenges, the U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan remains an important part of America's counterterrorism efforts. The U.S. Army has been successful in disrupting terrorist networks and preventing future attacks, but it will continue to face significant challenges as it works to stabilize the region and win over the hearts and minds of local residents. In conclusion, the U.S. Army's approach to counterinsurgency in Pakistan is complex and multifaceted. It includes traditional military operations, as well as non-military approaches aimed at stabilizing local communities and creating the conditions for long-term peace and stability. While the use of drones and other controversial tactics has been met with criticism, the U.S. Army's efforts have been instrumental in disrupting terrorist networks and preventing future attacks. As the U.S. Army continues its counterinsurgency efforts in Pakistan, it will need to navigate the complex political situation and build positive relationships with local residents in order to achieve lasting success.